Thank you. Because I'm one of the few people in the state of Nevada that didn't sign a non-disclosure agreement with Tesla, I've been in the news more than anybody else, and I have not, at this stage of the game, talked to anybody from Tesla to my knowledge. I've talked with some people that didn't tell me where they were from that I think were from Tesla, but that's beside the point. Okay, let's start off. This is my mother-in-law's dictionary from her days at Vaughn Middle School and later at O'Brien. How many definitions for battery are in this? Okay? We're not close yet, by the way.
Somebody over here said it, I heard it.
8. Whoever gets the 8. Okay. This is yours.
That's fine.
She's 97 years old. We just put her into a nursing home, and she's probably not going to use it again. Not only that, her eyes are failing. She couldn't read it anyway. So, okay. So, the last definition of the battery in there, which has got the postmark or the posted in there someplace, the 8th definition is a chemical reaction that creates electricity. So it's the last definitions. And 50 years ago, that was probably about where it belonged. So they beating up people and all that stuff goes ahead of that. So as we go through and start taking a look, batteries have changed so much that most of us don't even recognize the difference in a battery that's taken place just in your lives. If you think about it, when most of you were kids, there wasn't rechargeable batteries, or rechargeable batteries were brand new. Batteries are the most expensive power source we have. The only rechargeable battery when most of us were, when I was a kid, but even when a lot of you were younger, was really a car battery. That was the only rechargeable battery for a long period of time. Then we got into NiCads and we've gone through all that stuff. So let's kind of go through this thing relatively quickly, and I'm going to cheat and use my notes. Okay. Lithium-ion batteries are basically, they're going to take lithium, which is number on the periodic chart? 3, thank you. That means what? It's light. It's very light. They're going to put that in a graphite base, and that's going to be kind of an organic base, and in the process of doing that, it makes a battery. The batteries that go into these cars fit completely under the floorboards, so it's kind of like a sheet of plywood about 4 inches thick underneath the entire car. And the voltage is high enough, trust me, you'll never get to the terminals. They do not want you to find the terminals because I've heard 2 different stories and I don't know which one's right. It's either 300 volts or 600 volts, but trust me, they don't want you getting a hold of either one of them. So that's kind of where this thing is going. It's probably a graphite paste of some sort because of the fact that it's rechargeable, you have to slow down how fast the electrons are moving. So, for those of you that are in culinary, it's a recipe. It's just a recipe. It's probably a fairly exacting recipe. You got to get the right mixture of this and that in, what you do to make your stuff come out. So that's kind of where we're going. They're talking about 6,500 jobs. I don't think they'll get to that job anytime soon. Let's go through the data so that you understand why the state bent over so far to get this thing done. In this recession, we lost 11,000 manufacturing jobs. 11,000, or 24.5% of the manufacturing jobs in this state. We've gained back or replaced about 2,000. So at this stage of the game, that means that 6,500 jobs is 60% of those that were lost. Is that worth going after? Probably. Okay. Which county which entity takes the biggest hit in the tax package that was offered up? Story County, far and away. Which county can most afford it? Story County. The spending in Story County schools, even after all the rebates are done, is more than going to double. How many people live in Story County? How many people go to school in Story County? Not very many. There's about 400 kids in the school district there. You double the revenue for the Story County schools, still a pretty good deal. So, when the governor made the comment of the state's investment is going to be repaid 80-1, it's the state's investment, it's not the Story County investment. Okay, that makes you feel better on that. But Story County is the only place that could afford it. So, why is it in Story County? Number one, the biggest single issue for Tesla is they're planning on building 500,000 cars a year. Do you think that Ford and GM and Chrysler and Toyota and Honda and BMW and Mercedes are going to give up that 500,000 market easily? No. They've got a real battle to get time to market. So the whole reason they're in Story County is Story County gets things done. Dean Haymore, who's the building inspector, has a bed inside his office out at the science park or out at the industrial park. If they need a concrete inspection at 1 o'clock in the morning, he gets up out of that bed, goes out there, does his concrete inspection, goes back to bed. It was one night 2 weeks ago, he did 4 concrete inspections between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. That doesn't happen anyplace else, not only in this state, it doesn't happen probably anyplace else in the country. Okay. The building department is fundamentally a one-man or two-man operation, and they get things done. They don't have third-party lawsuits, which was what prevented it from going to California. California, anybody in the world can sue on anything. They never would have gotten it built. If they don't get the thing to market, GM, Ford, Chrysler, and the rest of those guys will crush them. So this is not a risk-free deal for us. It has some level of risk to it. Somebody can change the battery technology. Don't think that's likely to happen. Okay, now, the bottom line is this is the toughest audience in about 35 interviews I've done in the last month on this thing, because you're the most important audience. You guys have the highest graduation rates in the state, both north and south, even in Carson City. You're producing the kids that know how to work. Almost doesn't matter what career field you go into, because every one of your kids has a sense for how to go to work and how to get the job done. Now, your culinary students, they're going to think, you know, I don't want to go make batteries, I want to go make pastry. It's not a lot different. If the job is not available in culinary and it's available in a battery factory, they may go make batteries for a while, and that's okay. They might even like making batteries. You know, I know, the chancellor knows that the state of Nevada does not produce the quantity of STEM teachers, the quantity of CTE teachers that we need. Never has, but that's got to get better. The chancellor and I have already had a discussion about that. He didn't like my side of the discussion. Doesn't matter. They've got to step up. They have given us lip service on increasing the output of STEM teachers now for 15 years that I can count. And they won't even talk about CTE teachers for a long period of time. So we got a long way to go. The essence of a battery, remember, is chemistry turned into physics. If you've got kids that are going through your program, if you can get them to take a chemistry class and get them to take a physics class, they've got the fundamentals to move forward. Now, there's going to be a burden over on TMCC, there's going to be a burden on the university system. You've got to create the foundation. And I will say even more than the science teachers and things like that. The reason is, what you do is you teach kids how to apply that knowledge, how to use that knowledge. All the desktop experiments in a physics class in the world don't make any difference if you don't know what you're doing it for. And you teach them what they're doing it for. Okay. I only have 47 minutes worth of material here, but we'll get it all done in 10. Okay. Factoid that you may want to know. Even though there's an inadequate supply at this point in time, the lithium is recyclable. So once we get enough batteries out there in the marketplace, it will actually become cheaper to recycle the lithium out of the batteries and put it back into new batteries than it is to mine new lithium. Now, the economies of scale for the mine out at Winnemucca are probably going to be such that that lithium is going to be pretty cheap because it's pretty high quality lithium. So that may be cheaper to mine than to recycle, but the recycling is going to take place. What you do is you are the people that add value to your students. Remember, in a manufacturing world, in my world, everything you do in a manufacturing plant either adds cost or it adds cost and value. And what you want to do with a manufacturing plant is you want to minimize those that only add cost, and you want to maximize those that add cost and value. You add value. Remember that. Teach your kids that their mission in life when they get out there is to add as much value to the operation as they can, because that's where their value comes in, and that's where the promotions come from. One of my employees, when I was VP at manufacturing, I had the wonderful pleasure of handing her a $20,000 check because she came up with an idea that changed the entire process, And that made a whopping chunk of difference. It didn't just affect what she was doing, it affected what 30 other people were doing as well. And the $20,000 check was really cheap. She was really happy. So, technology is going to continue to change. Technology has already changed. How am I doing time-wise? Dana? Got about 2 minutes to go. Okay. I want you to think about this. A quarter-inch drill in 1946, at the end of World War II, cost $50. It was quarter-inch only. It only went one way. It didn't have reverse. The quarter-inch, the drill that you can't even buy a quarter-inch drill anymore. A drill by today, battery-driven, rechargeable, still $50. Has there been any inflation between 1946 and today? Okay, that's what technology is doing. How many of you recognize what this is? Because some of you are young enough you don't. Believe me, there was a lot of dust on this thing when I found it today. Yeah. I've someplace around I've still got some 5 1/4s, but
I've got a computer in my classroom that will run it.
I turned out I don't. Okay, so that's what's going to happen to the technology. Regardless of what you teach the kids, you've got to teach them the skills to take a look forward, to become flexible. The number one thing that business is looking for is I want the kids that can learn. So that means good reading skills, good math skills, good problem solving skills, because they will adapt with the technology, and we're just on the front edge of technology. It's going to get faster and faster. You and I will be, I'm already obsolete, but even you will be obsolete. You may wind up working for one of your students at some point in time. How's that for scary? So, with that, unless you've got questions, fundamentally I've covered pretty much everything that was on my list. Oh, there's one thing I will mention that you need to know, just so you can get a grasp of this thing. 500,000 cars a year is $1.75 billion annually. That's why Detroit is not willing to give up on it. That's real money. The other thing is the CTE demand in the South is up to about 8 to 1. And I think at some point in time, you're going to be that busy too. Thank you.